The air in Goma was thick with smoke. Acrid plumes rose from Munzenzi prison, a grim monument to the chaos engulfing the city. January 27, 2025, a date forever seared into Goma's soul. It began with the rattle of gunfire, the city already on edge as the M23 rebels advanced. Then the prison erupted. Panic seized the inmates. A mass jailbreak, desperate and chaotic, ensued. But for the women of Munzenzi, the horror was only beginning. They became prey in the maelstrom, hunted by shadows lurking within the chaos. Their screams were lost in the roar of the fire and the deafening crackle of gunfire. The world watched in horror as images of the inferno emerged, a symbol of the anarchy consuming Goma. The prison, meant to house criminals, became a tomb for the innocent. The world demanded answers, accountability. But in the ashes of Munzenzi, justice seemed a distant dream. As the flames devoured the prison, a different kind of evil stalked the shadows. Women, hundreds of them, became targets. They were separated from the throng, herded like animals by unseen hands. Their fear, palpable, hung heavy in the smoke-filled air. The stories that trickled out later, whispered by survivors, chilled the blood. Tales of unspeakable brutality, of women raped and burned alive. The world recoiled in horror. How could such savagery occur in this day and age? The identity of the perpetrators remains shrouded in mystery. The M23 rebels, who seized Goma that same day, deny involvement. But their grip on the city tightens, preventing any meaningful investigation. The UN peacekeepers, their hands tied by a restrictive mandate, can only bear witness to the aftermath. The women of Munzenzi became a tragic footnote in the larger conflict. Their suffering, a stark reminder of the human cost of war, but their stories must be told, their agony acknowledged. The world cannot afford to look away. The M23 rebels, a shadowy force with a bloody reputation, cast a long shadow over Goma. Their advance on the city had been relentless, their objective clear seas control of this strategic prize. The Congolese army, outgunned and outmaneuvered, offered little resistance. Goma, a city already grappling with poverty and instability, descended further into chaos. The rule of law crumbled, replaced by the law of the gun. Fear became the currency of daily life. The M23's grip on Goma extended beyond its military might. They controlled the flow of information, restricting access to journalists and observers. The true extent of the atrocities committed during their reign remains unknown, hidden behind a veil of secrecy and intimidation. The international community condemned the M23's actions, but their words rang hollow in the streets of Goma. The UN Security Council, hampered by political maneuvering and a lack of consensus, struggled to mount an effective response. The people of Goma were left to fend for themselves, caught in the crossfire of a conflict not of their making. The images from Goma are seared into our collective memory. The burning prison, the terrified faces of women and children. These are not just statistics, not just another news cycle. These are human lives, shattered by violence and indifference. The UN peacekeepers, despite their best efforts, are stretched thin. Their mandate limits their ability to intervene, leaving them as observers to unspeakable horrors. The Congolese government, weakened by corruption and internal strife, seems powerless to protect its own people. Rwanda's alleged role in this tragedy cannot be ignored. Accusations of their support for the M23, though denied, fuel the flames of conflict. The international community must demand accountability and transparency from all parties involved. Goma cries out for justice, for peace, for a chance to rebuild. The world cannot afford to turn a blind eye to this humanitarian crisis. We must demand action from our leaders, support for the victims, and a renewed commitment to ending the cycle of violence that has plagued this region for far too long.